Welcome back to the Sports Show with Woody and Les and everyone else. This is Cameron Wolfe, and he is a Broncos beat writer for the Denver Post, covering the Broncos every single day, and a big contributor to this magazine that's coming out.
Yeah, let him hold it up.
In fact, it is out, isn't it?
No, it's out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Comes out tomorrow.
The band is back.
And it'll be in the Sunday newspaper. It'll be available at grocery stores and all the places where you can figure out where to get it. You're proud to be a part of your first Broncos magazine. The Post has been doing it now a couple of years.
Yeah, surely it was a different idea. I didn't know I was going to be a part of it, but once I was asked, it was great. It ended up being a broad, different idea. Wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but looking at the final product, it looks pretty well.
What is the theme this year? Because last year it was there were a different one, but this one's kind of intriguing because it takes in two genres,
right?
Football and
music. The whole theme is bringing the band back together. It's featured on Gary Kubiak, Rick Dennison, Wade Phillips, and now Peyton Manning joining the bunch, as well as John Elway. They're kind of bringing the band back from 1989 when they first connected in Denver, and now they're back together again. So it's kind of telling each of their stories as well as the new story with Peyton and kind of seeing how that all meshed together.
So what's your primary contribution to the magazine?
I wrote a few features. I wrote one on C.J. Anderson, just generally his pie messer. That's not really music-based, but it was more just his trek from being undrafted, fourth guy on the roster, to now being the bell cow. I also wrote a piece on Rick Dennison and his story coming up. He was a linebacker, undrafted linebacker coming up with the Broncos for 8 or 9 years, then followed Kubiak to the Broncos, and it seems like he's been with them ever since.
What did you learn about Rick Dennison that was really interesting that you hadn't known before?
I guess the biggest thing is that he played tight end all through college, and then he switched to linebacker when he went to the pros. And
he's also coached both sides in the pros.
He has.
Yeah.
He has. He's a smart guy.
He was a special teams coach
as well. Yeah.
He actually went to CSU, and he was an engineering major. Got a grad and undergrad degree out in CSU, and he said he never thought he was going to be coaching. He thought he was going to be an engineer somewhere. So
boy, that's a waste.
He's engineering their offense now.
He isn't.
Yeah.
I guess
what a waste, isn't it? Because engineering is so hard, and you have to struggle through all that and then be in football.
I have a feeling he's making better money here than he would have as an engineer.
It depends.
Just a few.
There are a lot of engineers who make a lot of money.
That is true.
What story or column or picture or whatever really caught your attention in that magazine that you would recommend everybody would read?
Well, I saw your column, Woody.
Are you kidding me? Seriously? Come on.
Is that what you were trying to pitch for me?
What he wants to hear.
Was that the pitch there? I did read your column, and it was very interesting. It went perfectly with the theme. Interviewed the Eagles lead singer there, and it worked perfectly.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh
and I talked for about an hour and a half about the Eagles getting back together and the Broncos getting back together. And I thought, and he's a Broncos fan.
Yeah.
And he wants to come sing Rocky Mountain Way, and he wrote it here
Let's
in Colorado.
do it.
It's a kind
Let's
of
get him over here.
I'm trying to arrange it because Joe told me do it, and I've passed that information along to the Broncos. You would know.
That'd be a cool way to kick off the game, or halftime, or whatever.
Wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
I would think, though, there's already enough excitement surrounding the first game. Maybe when New England comes to town, Green Bay, the night that they
put Pat
honor Pat Bowlen in.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
There's some games that are going to have a magnitude about it, but he was great fun to talk to, and talk about. When the Eagles got back together, I wonder what the problem was, because I thought about it after I asked him when they got back together what was the biggest problem, and he said me, because he was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and they had to clean him up before they could get back together. I wonder, and I don't think it was probably answered in there, what was the biggest problem of getting these guys all back together? Gary Kubiak didn't want to leave Baltimore, and Dennison might have stayed there as the offensive coordinator.
Maybe.
Did John Elway think that if he brought? I mean, I'm just speculating on what would be. Wade Phillips was not their choice as defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You know that?
I think Wade was probably the last piece to come together, because Kubiak and Dennison felt like they were together with Houston and Baltimore. Seemed like they were conjoined pretty much. But Wade, he kind of been doing his own thing the last few years. So bringing him together was the.
Let's get away from that for a minute. Les has just brought up a theory.
Okay.
Is that a way of putting it? Okay.
It depends on what you're talking about. I don't know where you're going.
About
the offense.
what we're going to see on
Peyton
Sunday.
Manning,
He's
Peyton
covered
Manning
too.
on Sunday. Yeah.
Right.
He believes that because of the struggles of the offense, that.
And because Peyton doesn't look comfortable.
Why don't you bring it up? But that you think they'll dominate more with a Peyton Manning offense than a Gary Kubiak
Yeah,
offense?
I think rather than a hybrid that we had talked about all offseason,
Right.
or a Gary Kubiak-centric offense, I think we're going to see more of a Peyton Manning offense because he didn't look comfortable in the preseason.
I'd agree. He looked pretty shaky. I know, so a lot of times it's chemistry, and his receivers not being on the field probably had something to do. But, you know, a new system for a guy who's been in the league this long, running primarily his system.
Yeah. It's not going to be 2013.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to be throwing the ball all over the field, 55 touchdowns, breaking records. But it's going to look, to me, more like a Peyton Manning offense than the other two.
And I think once I agree with you, and once he gets on the field, Kubiak will let him run what he wants to run. You know, Peyton's a master at the line. You know, Kubiak might call this, and then Peyton's like,
he'll
no,
change out of it.
we're going to do
That's
something
exactly what
completely
I said.
different.
Where he goes, oh, okay, all right, blue 23, and he'll move back to where he's more comfortable.
Yeah.
So
Cameron,
I think that.
where can people find the magazine?
They can pick it up on their Sunday's Denver Post. So it's going to be delivered there, and
It's going to be inside the Post?
It's going to be inside the Post,
Cool.
Delivered with the Sunday special section.
And if you don't have a subscription?
If you don't, you could pick it up from 7-Elevens, other convenience stores. I think it's $4.95. It's a great magazine. A lot of information in here. A lot of fun musical selections. Talked about a lot of the players' favorite music artists and all the different stuff. So it's a good read.
Are there going to be enough to be distributed, or have you sent all the copies to your friends and family since you're in there?
I don't know. You might want to get one early because there might not be many left.
Cameron, thanks. He's Cameron Wolfe. Twitter handle. What's your Twitter handle?
At Cameron Wolfe.
That's
with
an
an
E
Wolf
at the end.
Yeah,
with an E at the end.
Yep.
Cameron writes about the Broncos for the Denver Post, just on the beat. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Cameron. And that segment brought to you by John Elway Cadillac of Park Meadows, Colorado's #1 Cadillac dealer.
When you go to buy a car, what do you really want? You probably want a lot of cars to choose from. And you want the dealership's best price. Not some starting price or target price, the best price. And you want it immediately, not after hours of negotiating. And you want a salesperson who doesn't get paid more if you spend more. Because, well, you don't want to spend more. Well, you're in luck. John Elway wants all of those things too. Better yet, John Elway wants you to have all of those things too. Come see us or click on johnelwaychevrolet.com.